2 defeats, 1 demolition. 4 games into preseason and Chelsea have already looked like 2 different teams under Xabi Alonso. Chelsea have played 4 preseason games so far, and by the time you're watching this, they'll have played 5. They opened with a 6-4 win over Western Sydney Wanderers, lost 1-2 to Tottenham, lost 0-1 to Juventus, then beat AC Milan 3-0. So what are Xabi Alonso's tactics so far? In this video, we'll break down the formation, the defensive structure, the build-up, the attacking structure, player roles, and the lineup. These are preseason games, so the intensity isn't at the highest level. Don't let the scorelines deceive you. The real test starts August 24th at Craven Cottage against Fulham. But there are already tactical principles we can pull from what we've seen. On paper, Chelsea's formation reads as a 4-2-3-1, a 4-3-3, or a 3-4-2-1. But that's just it, on paper. In practice, Chelsea under Xabi Alonso have never settled into one fixed shape. Instead, their formation is best understood in 4 phases: the defensive structure, the progression structure, the attacking structure, and the build-up structure. And across every Chelsea match so far, one principle has stayed constant. The shape is never fixed. It reorganizes depending on where the ball is and what the opponent is willing to give up. Out of possession, Chelsea drop into a 4-4-2. The wingers and wingbacks tuck into midfield to form a 4-man line alongside the double pivot, while the striker and the attacking midfielder form the first line of pressure. Against AC Milan, that looked like João Pedro and Palmer stepping up to press Milan's center-backs, while Welbeck dropped into the midfield line to form a 4 alongside Marco Palestra, Lavia, and Pedro Neto. At the back, Caicedo dropped in to complete a back 4 with Josh Achiampong, Fofana, and Hato, as you can see here. The personnel changes from game to game, but the principle stays the same. A compact 4-man midfield holds the center of the pitch, closing off the half spaces and blocking passing routes through them, while staying close enough to shift and cover if the ball is switched out to a wide fullback. It's a shape built to deny the easy central pass first and force the harder, riskier one second. Once Chelsea win the ball back and start to advance, that 4-4-2 reorganizes into a 3-2-4-1 for the progression phase. The wingbacks push higher to hold the width, while the 2 wide forwards tuck into the half spaces, the pockets between an opponent's fullback and center back, where a defender has to choose whether to step out or hold the line. This gives Chelsea a numerical advantage through the middle. The 2 wide forwards can drop deep to form a box midfield alongside the pivot. And because most opponents build with a midfield 3, Chelsea simply outnumber them centrally. With the wingbacks pinning the opposition fullbacks, those fullbacks can't step inside to even up the numbers. It's a clear echo of the 3-box-3 principle Alonso built his Bayer Leverkusen side around. Central overloads over out-and-out pace to break lines. Here's a clear example of it against AC Milan. Both Palmer and João Pedro drop deep to form that box midfield. Off-screen, Palestra is pinning Milan's left-back on one side, while Neto does the same on the right, both stopping their fullback from tucking in to balance the midfield. As Chelsea progress into the final third, the shape adjusts again. Alonso looks to overload the box with bodies rather than spread play thin. One of the pivots steps into the attacking line, and the shape becomes something closer to a 3-1-5-1 or a 2-2-4-2. This is part of why Chelsea have experimented with 2 strikers together. Welbeck and João Pedro have started up top in the last 2 matches. With the 2 forwards occupying the majority of the opposition's center-backs, the wing-backs hold the width, while the attacking midfielders make late runs in behind to combine with the strikers and wing-backs, arriving into the box rather than being picked up from the first minute. As you can see here, against Milan, both Welbeck and João Pedro pin the center-backs, while Palmer and Lavia sit in the middle, ready to break beyond them. Go back a phase, though, to where all of this actually starts, Chelsea building out from the back. And the shape looks more like a 5-2-2-1, or a conventional 3-4-3. This forces opponents into a narrow press. If a team tries an aggressive man-to-man press here, Chelsea can move the ball straight through the middle, which is why most teams instead concede the wide areas and protect the center. You can see it in this frame here. Milan's block overloads the middle of the pitch and leaves room for João Pedro to receive in the wide areas with little pressure. Against that kind of narrow press, Chelsea's wide center-backs are given license to carry the ball into higher areas themselves. Josh Achiampong and Hato both did this repeatedly against Milan, driving forward with the ball at their feet and effectively becoming auxiliary midfielders once possession is secure. So how might all of this come together in a starting 11? Based on preseason so far, the shape is a 3-4-3. In goal, Alonso is likely to start Robert Sanchez. There have been rumors linking Chelsea with Diogo Costa, and the club already has Mike Penders waiting in the wings. But Alonso looks set to lean on experience. Sanchez goes into the new season as Chelsea's number 1. In the back three, what preseason has shown is that Alonso wants his center-backs to offer speed, passing, and carrying ability on top of defending. On the right side of that three, that points to Josh Achiampong ahead of Tosin, with Axel Disasi frozen out of the picture entirely. Achiampong brings pace and a genuinely good passing range, and he backed that up against AC Milan by making sure Rafael Leao didn't have a good game. He's still young, but based on Chelsea's current options at right-sided center-back, he's ahead of everyone else in that role. The middle of the back three goes to Maxence Lacroix, Chelsea's club record defensive signing from Crystal Palace this summer. A center-back who arrives with genuine Premier League pedigree, rather than as a project for the future. On the left, Levi Colwill starts ahead of Joral Hato. Hato has been excellent in preseason, but that isn't enough to push a fit Colwill to the bench. At right wing-back, it's Marco Palestra. He's comfortable on either flank, and he's been one of the standout performers of preseason, capable of pushing forward to whip in crosses, then recovering back into the defensive line. On the left, this is the one spot Chelsea haven't nailed down. The nod goes to Pedro Neto, who has the energy to keep running in behind, take his man on, and still track back to defend when Chelsea lose the ball. In the pivot, it's Moises Caicedo, with Reece James, Lavia, or Enzo Fernandez, if he stays at the club, as the alternatives. Ahead of him, the two 10s are Morgan Rogers and Cole Palmer, two of the best ball carriers in the Premier League, now lining up together after Chelsea made Rogers their British record signing this summer. Up top, the striker is João Pedro. So what's the verdict on Xabi Alonso's Chelsea so far? The formation on the team sheet barely matters. What matters is the pattern underneath it. Every phase of play, from building out of the back to defending in a mid-block, is built around the same idea. Create a numerical advantage somewhere on the pitch, then use it. A back three that can turn into a back five. Wide forwards that can turn into a box midfield. Wing-backs whose entire job, in some phases, is simply to pin a fullback out of the game. 2 defeats and 2 wins across 4 preseason games don't tell you whether it works. The Tottenham and Juventus performances were tighter, more cautious, a team still finding fitness and rhythm under a new manager. The AC Milan performance was the clearest picture yet of the identity Alonso actually wants. Patient in build-up, overloaded through the middle, ruthless once it reaches the box. The real test isn't a preseason opponent still building their own fitness. It's whether this framework survives a Premier League side pressing with real intensity and real quality. That answer starts on August 24th, away at Craven Cottage against Fulham. That's where we'll leave the analysis for now, but this is only the opening chapter of the Alonso era at Chelsea, and there's a long season ahead to find out whether these principles hold up once the games start to matter. So here's the question. Does this 3-4-3 survive first contact with the Premier League, or does it need reworking once teams start pressing it properly? Drop your prediction in the comments, and subscribe if you want the breakdown of how it holds up against Fulham.